Hello, Super Meme Maker 5 here, and today I will be talking about a theory that came to mind, and, upon research, actually served as plausible in my opinion. So I figured I should take the time to talk about it. Note, this is not meant to be an attack on Meggy or the SMG4 crew, or anyone with disorders, or literally anyone for that matter. This is just a theory I have, not a list of baseless insults. Just because I'm making this theory doesn't mean I think she legitimately has disorder. I will treat the character as if she factually does. I'm not even sure if SMG4 knows this disorder exists. This video is meant to explore the hypothesis and go into detail as to why this is a possibility for the truth, which is what a theory is anyways. I could be completely wrong about this for all I know, and I am fully aware of that. It wouldn't be a theory if I knew I were right. So I kindly request you all at least make an effort to be respectful to me and others if you agree or disagree with anything said in this video. Now that all of that has been said, let's get on with it.
Okay, let's do this one last time, yeah? For real this time. This is it.
6 years ago, Meggy was a competent athlete, training to become a champion like her idol, the legendary one-shot Ren. Then, one day, she met a fat Italian after having been trapped in a bucket. He joined her team, lost in Splatfest, and would later on train with her and go on crazy adventures with her. She made herself friends, family even, and things were a lot of fun. But then, the year of 2019 was a lot of things for her. Easy was not one of them. She got kidnapped, drained of her ink, had to face the attempted genocide of her own species suffering the same fate, and in the end she did not come out as the same person, literally and physically. Since then, she's fought, battling hard and never letting down. She's won, she's lost, and she's came back to win the rematch. One day she finally won Splatfest, became comfortable with who she is, and moved on to more mature challenges of finding a new home and passion to live for, which would of course led to her facing challenges on a rough vacation and, probably, college. As you can see, a lot has gone on in her life, and that's not even going into the other arcs and the fact that she pretty much died twice. Meggy has been through a lot that would just about traumatize anyone. Keep in mind that there is one thing missing from this timeline before 2021, and keep that fact in mind because it will be important later. Now let's talk about a lot of people will tell you that Meggy is not the same as she used to be, and to an extent I agree with that, because there is a very noticeable difference between Meggy before the anime arc and Meggy after it. Though I will be talking about aspects of her character that lead me to believe in this theory. As evident in Mario harms the environment and Mario goes fishing, Meggy has a tendency to take things to the extreme quickly rather than work out any kind of compromise, or looking at the situation through someone else's point of view. This fact is also evident in the SMG4 video, We Interrupt This Broadcast, where Tari pointed out the suspicion of the TV magically playing a commercial and turning right back off. It's also evident in the fishing video that Meggy tends to put herself on a pedestal and thinks herself in the right much of the time, even when it ends up being her who escalates the situation to begin with. She doesn't tend to see through the perspective of who she disagrees with and tries to make things her way, which was evident by the fact that she was really only willing to listen to Mario in Mario's Tunnel of Doom when Tari and Luigi sided with him. It's like she wants to be in control of the madness, except I doubt she actually thinks that in her head, and I think she just intended to be the bigger person. So based on what we know, Meggy has tendencies to take things from a 1 to a 10, even when not necessary, attempts to be the bigger person despite the situations not being that bad to begin with, and displays ignorance to other people's point of views. So what does all of this mean? Well, now is where we get into. Based on all of the information above, my theory is that Meggy, on account of her trauma and constant involvement in intense situations, has developed borderline personality disorder. Borderline personality disorder's effect on the mind is characterized by the inability to see the inner complexities of people, have black and white thinking, the inability to recognize that things are often not either perfect or horrible but rather something in between, and just the tendency to think things to the extremes. Based on what's been said above, I think this is a real possibility, or at the very least it would explain a lot about Meggy as of right now. We know she takes things to the extreme sooner than one logically should, having gone into an all-out tree war with Mario and SMG3 before having actually talked to them about this first. We know that Meggy tends to be ignorant of other people's POVs, namely when Meggy blatantly ignored Tari's opinion on the suspicious TV, and that she tends to think herself in the right most, if not all, of the time. Which I would also say this is supported by her reaction to her beanie getting stolen, namely when the kid who stole it said he was told to and she called him a liar. Granted, I don't expect her to blindly take the word of a thief, but most people would logically want to go further into this and find the true culprit. Hopefully you can all see where I'm coming from on this. Based on the symptoms of BPD and how they align with Meggy's recent characterization, I believe this is a possibility. Now, why exactly might she have this? Well, do you remember when I said that something from her timeline was missing? That thing was proper mental help after everything that happened in the anime arc. We never actually see her go to therapy and get help. You could say I'm looking too deep into it, and you could be right, but based on her recent behavior and what we saw in a month or two ago, I can at the very least say that she's not fully over everything that has happened. On a deeper level, I believe that Meggy has developed BPD because of all the intense things that happened to her, and that deep down she doesn't want things to get nearly as out of her control as things were in the anime arc, where she nearly died and watched her rival die, a tragedy she blamed herself for and had to carry the guilt of for years, and that's why she now tends to fight against the craziness of the SMG4 characters as opposed to enjoying it like she used to. That's not to say she intentionally kills the fun, and that's not to say she hates the silliness, but there are times where people and characters dealing with these kind of issues don't understand their own actions in response to said issues. In Steven Universe Future, for example, Steven claimed to have started gardening because he wanted a hobby, but in actuality it was a coping mechanism for his friends drifting away. I believe something similar to this is happening here. Now, if I'm wrong, which I honestly could be, I apologize deeply. I know this can be a sensitive theory to a lot of people, but based on Meggy's recent behavior and the symptoms of BPD, I believe this was at least worth throwing out there. If Meggy really does have borderline personality disorder, then that would honestly explain a lot. The symptoms seem to add up with the behavior, and the idea that she's developed a mental disorder aligns well with her timeline, particularly the lack of therapy and mental health. While this is probably going to be one of the more controversial videos I've made, I hope you all can see where I am coming from and agree or disagree respectfully. And remember, this is only me exploring a possibility, it's not something I'd take into account in other videos. That's all for this video today, and let me know what you thought of it below. Do you think Meggy really suffers from BPD, or any mental issues for that matter? Or am I just completely off and this was a dumb theory? If you enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more in the future. That's all for now, see you all next time.